Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com and Big Four Accounting Firms YouTube channel. Make sure to check out our website and subscribe to our YouTube channel. In today's podcast, I wanted to discuss the coronavirus. The coronavirus is increasing in its severity across the globe. And how will this impact the Big Four accounting firms? First off, it'll impact the Big Four employees because they'll have to work remotely. People who work for the Big Four won't have to go into the office. And I'm sure the Big Four accounting firms have all sent out emails telling their employees to stay home. And I'm sure that their clients have done the same. Next up, another way it'll affect the Big Four is through hiring. The Big Four will no doubt freeze hiring or lessen it severely. And how will you see the impact of this? Typically in the annual reports for the Big Four, they release how many people they hired. Not all of them, but I wanted to take a look at two of them. Deloitte, in their recent annual report, said that they hired 90,000 professionals in the latest fiscal year, and KPMG hired about 55,000 professionals in 2018. And through these, you can sort of estimate the other Big Four, like PwC and EY are probably somewhere between 60,000 and 80,000 employees hired. And all of them together are somewhere between 250 to 300, 400,000 employees. And what you're going to see is you're going to see this come down drastically. And unfortunately, if you're looking for a job with the Big Four, the chances are probably lower. But if you're a good enough candidate, they'll still hire you. There'll be some stipulations with that, which I'll mention in a second. The next thing I wanted to discuss is Big Four compensation. Big Four compensation will also go down. Salaries at the Big Four will no doubt remain flat. And bonuses will most likely go away for everyone except for partners in certain areas. And people that have not yet joined the Big Four will likely see their offers reduced and their sign-on bonuses reduced or just gone totally. And this happened previously in the financial crisis, and I'm sure the Big Four will follow the same model and they'll adapt as the economy gets worse, if it gets worse. The next thing that'll happen is that revenues will go down. Revenues for the Big Four accounting firms will, without a doubt, go down. It'll be interesting to see how much lower the revenues will go down, though. The economy is going to go into recession, and I can pretty much guarantee you this because you have too many companies shut down for an extended period of time. And this means that people will be out of work, earnings will be impacted, and even if the coronavirus gets better, the fallout of all this is you'll see companies going bankrupt and a ton of bad stuff. And also there's an oil war going on between Russia and Saudi Arabia, and that will probably be extended. And you're going to see oil companies go bankrupt. You might see some of these travel and leisure companies go bankrupt if the U.S. government doesn't bail them out. And this is just going to send the economy into a recession after the coronavirus. And this is just going to decrease the revenues of the Big Four. And also what's going to happen is that companies will not want to pay consultants or advisors more than they have to. And this means like all extraneous work that the Big Four have won, all that'll be pushed to the side. And I'm sure that the companies will also look to reduce fees during this time period. And what this means for the Big Four, in order for them to keep their revenues up, they have to provide their clients a ton of value during this time. They can't decrease value during this time period, or their clients will work to keep fees lower for the long term, as they did after the financial crisis. Now, after the financial crisis, a lot of companies pushed on the Big Four to keep their revenues down, and that sort of kept on going. And the only places that Big Four were able to push fees higher is in really high-end consulting, where they're actually adding value. Another thing that's going to happen from the coronavirus is that client engagements will change. There's some good things that will happen for the Big Four accounting firms from the coronavirus. Clients will be looking at their tax situations from this virus because the virus will no doubt throw many of them into a tax loss for 2020. And their clients will be looking at the tax benefits from that loss and how to turn that loss into immediate cash. And additionally, the government is delaying the amount of tax that companies can defer paying so that they can increase liquidity. And so the Big Four will probably be advising their clients on this. There will also be government programs around the world meant to help businesses last through the coronavirus, and the Big Four will be consulting their clients on how to take advantage of these measures. Additionally, the Big Four will gain engagements about supply chain management as more companies will want to rely less on China and other high-risk areas, and the Big Four will consult them on how to do this. And the Big Four might not have a ton of knowledge on how to do this, but what they'll do is they'll gain the knowledge from the clients that do change their supply chain, and they'll take that knowledge to other clients. And as far as audit goes, The Big Four will have to be careful about auditing their clients going forward. They have to make sure that all of their audit clients are disclosing the full impact of the coronavirus on their financial statements. And a lot of clients are going to try and reduce the impact because they don't want financial markets to get scared and sell their stock off, even though tons of companies are seeing their stocks plummet. So that's even a bigger thing that companies are going to do. They're going to try to reduce the impact because they don't want to scare investors for the long term. The Big Four have to make sure that their companies don't have to issue a going concern on their financial statements. And I'm sure that also some of the Big Four's clients are just going to go bankrupt. Like the clients aren't going to exist anymore because the stock market has decreased so much. The economy has shut down. Commerce has shut down worldwide. So I'm sure some of these companies are just going to go out of business. And that's just a number of ways that it's going to impact audit, but also all areas of the Big Four accounting firms. So that's my take on how the Big Four accounting firms will be impacted by the coronavirus. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and subscribe to our YouTube, and leave a comment on this video on the YouTube channel if you think I left anything out or if you have any questions. Thanks for listening.